Good afternoon, Asia. Good morning, Europe. It is my great pleasure to welcome you to the first ever online conference by Glasstech Asia and Fenestration Asia, powered by BAO and BAO China of the Messe Munich in Germany. After the acquisition of Glasstech Asia by the Messe Munich, the trade show is now part of the unique BAO network, organized by MMI Asia and in close cooperation with the Singapore Glass Association. With this, Glasstech Asia clearly underlines its position as the leading glass hub in Southeast Asia and further expands its thematic leadership in the region. My name is Renato, and I have the privilege to be your moderator for today and tomorrow. I work for World Architects, a membership-based network of selected contemporary architects and building professionals advocating quality in architecture. We are based in Zurich, Switzerland. Please note that we will switch off your video and microphones. You are very welcome, though, to ask questions during the whole conference via the Q&A box. The most frequently asked questions are answered in our expert discussion or subsequently on glasstechasia.com.sg, where you can also find the detailed program and more valuable information. At this point, I have the pleasure to hand over to Kun Por, my Thai colleague in Bangkok. Kun Por, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Thierry. And สวัสดีค่ะท่านผู้มีเกียรติทุกท่านค่ะดิฉันนางสาวกนกกร อินทัสโรนะคะจากบริษัท Impact Exhibition Management จำกัดรับหน้าที่เป็นผู้ดำเนินรายการภาคภาษาไทยของเราในวันนี้นะคะเรามีความยินดีเป็นอย่างยิ่งค่ะที่จะต้อนรับทุกท่านเข้าสู่การสัมมนาออนไลน์ Glasstech Asia Online Conference 2020 ซึ่งเราจะจัดขึ้นทั้งหมด2วันนะคะก็คือวันนี้วันที่17และ18พฤศจิกายนตั้งแต่เวลา 4 โมงเย็นเป็นต้นไปผ่านระบบ Zoom ค่ะโดยการจัดงานสัมมนาของเราในวันนี้นะคะจัดขึ้นโดย Messe Munich และ BAO by BAO China บริหารการจัดงานโดย Impact Exhibition ค่ะดิฉันขออนุญาตแจ้งให้ทุกท่านทราบนะคะเกี่ยวกับกฎกติกาในการเข้าร่วมฟังสัมมนาดังนี้ค่ะหากท่านใดนะคะเข้ามาสู่ระบบ Zoom แล้วระบบจะทำการปิดเสียงและภาพของท่านโดยอัตโนมัติหากท่านมีคำถามนะคะระหว่างการบรรยายของผู้บรรยายในแต่ละเซสชันสามารถทิ้งคำถามของท่านได้นะคะในช่อง Q&A box ด้านล่างพร้อมอย่าลืมระบุอีเมลไว้ด้วยนะคะเนื่องจากผู้บรรยายของเราบางท่านเนี่ยอาจจะไม่สามารถตอบกลับคำถามของท่านภายในการสัมมนาวันนี้ได้แล้วก็จะตอบกลับอีกครั้งหนึ่งผ่านทางช่องทางอีเมลค่ะการสัมมนาของเราในวันนี้นะคะทุกเซสชันจะเป็นการบรรยายโดยภาคภาษาอังกฤษเซสชันแรกค่ะเราจะมาเริ่มกันที่ในเรื่องของ sustainability ในประเด็นที่ว่าเทรนด์การสร้างอาคารเขียวการติดตั้งกระจกที่ทำให้เกิดการประหยัดพลังงานนวัตกรรมต่างๆนะคะที่ทำให้เกิดความยั่งยืนของตัวอาคารจากผู้บรรยายต่างชาติชื่อดังหลายท่านนะคะแล้วก็พบกับตัวหัวข้อพิเศษค่ะหัวข้อสุดท้ายของเราในวันนี้ก็คือ real estate market ในประเทศจีนและประเทศเยอรมนีค่ะก่อนที่เราจะเข้าสู่การสัมมนานะคะดิฉันขออนุญาตพาทุกท่านค่ะเข้าสู่พิธีเปิดจาก guest speaker ของเราทั้ง3ท่านก่อนซึ่งลำดับต่อไปก็จะเป็นทาง Mr. Thierry ในการดำเนินรายการนะคะ and it's now the time that I will pass to you Mr. Thierry for the opening ceremony. Thank you.
Thank you, Kun Por. Thank you for the introduction. Allow me now to introduce the protagonists standing behind this important event. First, Mr. Michael Wilton, General Manager of MMI Asia, will be welcoming you, followed by Mr. Matthias Strauss, Exhibition Director of BAO Exhibitions at Messe Munich, and of course, our honored guest, Mr. Gan Jokchua, Chairman of the Singapore Glass Association. Michael, the stage and the screen is all yours, please.
Wilton, and I am the General Manager for MMI Asia, a regional Messe Munich subsidiary in Singapore. I'm happy to report that over this session and the next tomorrow, we will hear from more than 20 speakers who represent the leading minds in the global glass fenestration and facade industry. Over these 2 days, you will learn and experience global best practices, latest trends, and hear about case studies from some of the iconic projects here in Southeast Asia. Our aim is to enable industries to grow, develop, innovate. This is usually achieved through live in-person events. This year has proved impossible for us to meet in person. However, Glasstech Fenestration Asia, now as part of the BAO network, will be back in 2021 from the 16th to the 18th of November, once again back in Bangkok. The team here are working hard on providing the best possible means for the industry in Southeast Asia to grow, innovate, and meet the challenges you have in the years ahead. We trust that these 2 days will give you a taste of what is to come, and of course, we hope to see you all in person next year. I would like to thank the Glass Manufacturers Club of the Federation of Thai Industries, the Thai Plate Glass Industry Association, the Thai Contractors Association, the Thai Green Building Institute, the Thai Aluminium and Glass Fabricators Trade Association, and the Singapore Glass Association. I wish you all a successful, thought-provoking, and fruitful 2 days. Thank you. Kopang Kap.
Ladies and gentlemen, I cordially welcome you to Glasstech Asia Online Conference 2020. At this point, I would also like to welcome Singapore Glass Association, Passive House Institute, German Association Windows and Facades, DGNB German Sustainability Building Council, China Real Estate Chamber of Commerce, Tsinghua Alumni Real Estate Association, HAWK, University of Applied Science and Arts. Last but not least, I would like to welcome our host, the CEO of World Architects, Mr. Renato Turi. My name is Matthias Strauss, and I am Exhibition Director at Messe Munich, responsible for the trade fairs Bau China in Shanghai and Beijing, Digital Bau in Cologne, Germany, and Glasstech Asia. We are more than happy to welcome Glasstech Asia as new member to our Bau network. So, what is Bau Network? Bau Network are all trade fairs and shows under the umbrella of our world's leading trade fair Bau here in Munich. By combining our competence and connecting exhibitors and visitors from all around the globe, we are the most important platform for architects and companies from the building industry to come together and share their latest innovations and visions. Now with Glasstech Asia, we will be able to cover the Southeast Asian market and bring these innovations also directly to you. I'm looking forward to the upcoming conference days full of high-quality speakers and topics from both local and international companies and associations. I would appreciate to meet you again next year in person at Glasstech Asia 2021 in Bangkok. And now I wish you 2 exciting days here at Glasstech Asia Online Conference. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon and good morning, depending on where you are now. My name is Gan Gyok Chua, and I am the chairman of the Singapore Glass Association, who has been organizing the Glasstech Asia exhibition since 1998. Welcome to the Glasstech Asia Online Conference 2020. I would like to thank the following organizations for their support to this conference, as well as our Glasstech Asia exhibitions and conferences throughout the years. First, Glass Manufacturers Club of the Federation of Thailand Industries, Thai Plate Glass Industry Association, Malaysia Glass Association, Safety Glass Processors Association of Malaysia, Vietnam Glass Association, Indonesia Flat and Safety Glass Association, Flat Glass Alliance of the Philippines, Philippine Chamber of Glass and Aluminium Industry, Inc. I would also like to welcome Messe Munchen and MMI Asia Private Limited, who will be the organizer for Glasstech Asia from now on. With their experience, knowledge, and global network in this industry, we look forward to more innovative solutions and technologies being introduced to our region through Glasstech Asia and Fenestration Asia. The world is greatly disrupted by COVID-19 this year. However, I have faith in our human ability and ingenuity to overcome this pandemic, and am heartened to hear the positive progress of vaccines and treatment trials both last week and this week. Similarly, I'm sure we can find solutions to our greatest challenge the world is currently and will continue to face over the next decades, which is climate change or global warming. I'm thus looking forward to our speakers' views on the resulting trends and regulations in the built environment, as well as our industry's response to them. I wish you a fruitful conference and look forward to meeting you in person and catching up with old friends in Glasstech Asia 2021 in Bangkok. Thank you.
Gentlemen, many thanks for your introductory words, highlighting again the importance of this trade show. Well, let's get started then with the program of the Glasstech Asia Online Conference 2020. Just a few words on the subject of glass from the point of view of the architecture industry. The material glass as such, and all it takes for its production, is already fascinating. Not only for windows, but also for roofs, stairs, walls, or doors, etc., etc. Glass not only protects us from wind and weather, but also gives us great views outside. Absolutely essential for architecture is the supply of light provided by the glass. Then it is the interplay of light and space, which is essential for the experience of architecture. It is thanks to light that spaces are first perceived in their proportions, structures, and materialization. Bright and dark, clear, mysterious, and beautiful. Light creates room atmospheres which are resulting in the wealth of a building. Short and to the point, glass is very important in all forms and facets. The Glasstech Online Conference 2020, of course, reflects this importance and has put together an exciting program for today and tomorrow with key topics and excellent speakers. Today, we wanted to cover the two topics, regulatory and policies, as well as sustainability. Most unfortunately, and due to unforeseen circumstances, our speaker from Guardian Glass had to cancel his presence this morning, meaning we won't have a presentation for the theme, and we'll start right away with the topic sustainability. We would like to apologize for any inconvenience caused due to this. All right. From a term of sustainability, some of you might be tired of the term sustainability. But why? You know, the original concept of sustainable development was defined by a book called Our Common Future, also known as the Brundtland Report, published in 1987 by the United Nations, defining sustainable development as the development which meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. This development should include not only environmental, but also social and economic responsibilities. But from whichever perspective you think of sustainability, it was, it is, and it will remain important. Sustainability in the glass industry is including categories such as sustainable sites, optimizing energy performances such as passive house buildings, green buildings, using recycled content, regional materials, etc., etc. We will be hearing 4 presentations on sustainability, each with a length of maximum 20 minutes. And I have the pleasure now to welcoming Dr. Bertolt Kaufmann. Dr. Bertolt Kaufmann is a senior scientist at the Passive House Institute, and the title of his presentation is Windows and Glazings for Passive House Buildings. Please, Mr. Dr. Kaufmann, we look forward to hearing from you.
Good day. This is Bertolt Kaufmann speaking from Passive House Institute in Darmstadt, Germany. I'm very happy that I'm invited to speak to you in the framework of Glasstech Asia. I would like to show you some basic information about the performance quality of windows, good energy efficient windows, what we need for passive house building and other energy efficient building design. Well, as you all know, the fraction of energy consumption of buildings is quite high with respect to other energy consuming sectors in the world. So here the orange part of the circle is about 50%, and windows from the building envelope need about 22% of that. So from that you see it's very important to go for good performance windows, so very well insulated with glass and very well insulated with the frames. And how to do this, I would like to go in some more detail right now. Another part you see here, if you compare the fraction of losses and the fraction of area of windows in a building envelope. And you see here, the yellow bars here show the losses and solar gains of windows and glasses. So, and to keep this as low as possible, the U value of windows should be as low as possible as well. And this leads to a rough number of about 0.8 watt per square meter Kelvin. Okay, and the other point is about comfort. If you want to have a good thermal comfort inside your building, your opaque parts, but as well, and most importantly, transparent parts as window and glasses should be well insulated. And therefore, we need 3-pane glazing so that the surface temperature, the minimum surface temperature at the glass is, in this example, better than about 17 degrees centigrade, even if it's outside very cold. In old building, conventional building, this glass and frame insulation is not so good, and therefore you need a radiator just beneath the window. Okay, and if you now go to in some detail with the requirements, you see if you go to very cold cities, cold winter temperature, you see, for example, Moscow, you have to go down to about 0.6 watt per square meter Kelvin, the U value. Otherwise, thermal comfort will not be good enough for windows. Well, and the same is true for hygiene. If the surface temperature is too cold, you will probably go for some condensation inside of the glass and the frame, and this is not healthy, and this may damage and lead to mold growth and so on. So please help to avoid it as wherever you can. Okay, from this thoughts, you just straightforward can set up this map, and this is for the example for Central Europe and Eastern Europe. And you see, the more you go to the colder areas, the U value you need goes lower and lower. Well, next point is the gap between glass and frame, so the connection between glass and frame and the edge of the glass. There, normally a spacer is installed, and if the spacer is not good enough and the glazing rebate is not deep enough, you will have a thermal bridge there, and this you can see here. Well, and if you do it not good enough, you will have condensate or even mold or just mold growth, and only if you go for a very good glazing edge, you will get these low values and very good performance with respect to hygiene and comfort. Well, from that, you see this map as well, once more. You can see, depending on temperature, what you have in winter time, you can check the overall window U value, which you have, which you should go for, is 0.4 for the very cold, and 0.6 for maybe Sweden, 0.85 for Central Europe, and a little less, relaxed for Spain and so on. Yeah, in South Italy, you only need 1.3 U value. Okay, so, and this is now the goal, how to go and to see where we should, what quality we should require and where to go. Well, and for each region, we have now set up a certificate requirement. And this you see for the very cold, and for the warmer climate, you just get a certificate with different marks here. Well, what we do with certification, in principle, it's quite simple. We check your product, your window, and then look if the criteria are met, and we do it by looking for the thermal flux here through this part, And if our criteria are met, we can give a certificate. If not, we make suggestion how to get the window better and better insulation and lower thermal bridges and so on. And then you can go for the next turn for the certificate. Here again, you see the certificate. It has 3 parts. The one is the climate. Here, the other is the efficiency class. And here you see the regions, Arctic, cold, cool temperate, and so on, what are denominated on the certificate and on the label. Well, on the certificate in total, you get more information about all of the frame, all quality of the frame, and the producer. Well, and what glass you should use for this and that. Well, and so the architects and engineers can have a closer look to the quality and then make their decision what product to choose. You can find all these certificates on our website, passivhaus.com, and please look there, have a look at the component database link. And there you will find all these products listed. Okay, next point is glazing. You all know we get solar radiation from outside through the glazing to the indoor to the room. And the solar throughput is described by the G value. The higher the G value, the better. And second, in wintertime, especially, we have thermal losses. So energy, thermal, temperature going from inside to outside. And the U value describes these thermal losses. Yeah. Okay, so we have to get to set up a very good, the best ratio. So the lowest U value and the highest G value, if possible, to get a good performance window. Well, and the basic quality is maintained so far by insulation to have several window panes. And a good compromise for the most climatic region is a 3-pane glazing with 2 coatings on number 2 surface and number 5 surface, and with a noble gas filling inside, and a very well designed glazing rebate. For very cold regions, you may go down to a 4-pane glazing, but this is just for the Russia and somewhere. Okay, another point is if you want to go for very slim and lightweight glazing, you can do. This is a newer development, but please note, if you go for very small gaps, you need to go for krypton instead of argon. Argon and a wider gap is a cost-effective solution, but well, it's a little more weight here. The other point is vacuum glazing. This is a promising development in the recent few years, but please check the rebate and the edge of the glass has a very large thermal bridge, and therefore you have to, and you see it on the right-hand side, you have to have a special frame to get the heat losses at the glass edge as low as possible. Well, the glazing rebate or the spacer here at the glass edge is very important. So if you go for aluminum, the very bad windows, it's not a good idea. Stainless steel and is better. And here you see the product Swiss Spacer and the newer development Swiss Spacer Ultimate. With that, you can get a very, very good thermal quality at the edge with a quite slim design. Well, and if you have this all together, just an overview for 3 types of frames. You see here for a very cold climate, and for the warmer climate, here you have almost no insulation, only just wood. But for the colder climate, you have to check and to get for better insulation here, an extra shell, so that your window frame U value is as good as possible. Okay, here as a summary, the 2 window frames you see here, the most a very slim width at the side of the window frame is desirable, so that the solar throughput through the window is as good as possible always. Well, the next point is fixed glazing. Again, here, if you do a detailed design and check for all the heat losses and the geometry, you can get, as is shown here, you can get a very nice view with a very slim frame and very low thermal losses. Here a little bit different, but this is, you see, it's possible to go for fixed glazing with slim frames. Well, for sliding doors, the challenge is to have it airtight and thermally insulated. And you see here as well, three possibilities. The frame has to be well insulated, and the connection between the sliding frame and the rest of the window has to be quite good here. Yeah. The manufacturer you can go for on the certificate on our component database. Well, for the curtain wall, again, you have to check in detail what is the fixing and what are the screws and what are the elements here, and what is the material of the beams here. And we check it in detail when we have your detailed drawings, and we can check the thermal flux through all these parts of the windows and the fixings and so on. And we can set up a model for you and then afterwards give you advice how to optimize your window in detail. Here again, the fasteners are checked here. And the point is, afterwards, you have the values, the P and Q value of each fixing and each element, so that the curtain walls can be checked in detail. Here another example for screws and this and that, the carriers. You see, there are many things to keep the glass in position, and normally these are done with steel screws. And the point is now to make it as few as possible steel screw, and to make the support with other, possibly with other materials. Well, if you go then for a complete facade, you see the fraction of heat losses are quite diverse. You see here the glass and glaze support, the installation C value, and other fasteners all around the glazing, and the glazing support, and the mullion and transom. Yeah, so all things together make it make the heat losses of the support things, and the glass here has a loss of 73%. Yeah, so here the support and the fixing of the glass is very well optimized. Well, but if you don't do this, you will end up, for example, with a glass like this. So the fixing and the installation and so on has a very much higher heat losses, and therefore this curtain wall construction is not a good idea to go for very good performance windows and good performance buildings. Well, last but not least, the installation of the window is quite important. Here a simple example. If you go for the window to install on the masonry wall, you will have a very high C value, so very high heat losses here. Only if you go for the installation of the window in the thermal envelope, so within the almost straight line with the thermal insulation layer, then the C values can be as good as low as possible. Well, if you go for boxes for shading elements, the same is true. You should install the boxes as good as possible and with lowest thermal heat losses as well. And you see here below, the C value is 0.07, the above is 0.16, so a factor of 2 is always possible with that, just by optimizing the geometry. Well, and last but not least, we should go for shading, because if in summertime and southern climates, you should check that you get not so much overheating and as low as possible cooling energy. And to do so, the main thing for windows is to keep outside solar radiation outside and not let it in. Well, and one option is to have a lamella here in front of the thermal insulating glazing, so in front of the 3-pane glazing. And this lamella should be closed as good as possible. Well, and here you see there is a fourth pane outside against wind load. As if you have probably high-rise buildings or larger buildings, wind loads can get very high, and therefore completely outside laying lamellas are not stable against wind, and therefore you have a problem. So one solution to solve the wind load problem is to get an extra glass outside. Another solution is to have the lamella inside the glass package, so inside the 3-pane glazing package, and so you can cover it here and you have everything inside. By the way, if you see here, you can see here, if you have the upper part of the lamella not shaded but open, you can use here some daylight instead of artificial light, and this helps to save electricity for artificial light. Well, this was from my side, so I hope you enjoyed, and I could tell you some quality about the quality of Windows, high performance Windows. And if you want to have some more information, please visit our website and send us an email, and we will try to help you. Thank you very much, and thank you, and have a good time with the conference. Bye-bye.
Well, many thanks, Dr. Kaufmann, for your presentation and all the details on this relevant and most important topic. We'll continue right on with our next speaker, Mr. Frank Lange. Mr. Frank Lange is Managing Director of VFF, which is the German Association of Windows and Facades. His title of the presentation is Climate Protection and Sustainability of Glass and Windows in Germany. Please, Mr. Lange, we look forward to seeing your presentation.
Dear ladies and gentlemen, I would like to report about the current important topics of climate protection and sustainability in the German window industry. First, what are we doing to achieve our climate protection targets? Second, what sustainability concept do we have in Germany for plastic windows, for aluminum windows and building glass? And last, how do we communicate sustainability socially and politically? The German window market has a volume of 610 million window units. This means more than 1 billion square meters in different qualities and quantities of heat protection and energy transmission. Windows built before the year 1995 have an economically and technically sensible refurbishment potential. Those constructions don't have any thermal protection layers on the building glass. With 266 million window units, it is possible to save over 14 million tons of CO2 per year. Our German emissions targets up to 2030 are defined in sectors. We have the energy industry, transports, agriculture, and buildings. The guideline for the building sector is to reduce greenhouse gas emissions from 118 million tons in 2020 to 70 million tons in 2030. The European Union wants to intensify these targets by more than about 10 million tons to 60 million tons. The current monitoring of the climate protection targets shows that these targets are currently not achievable. There is a gap. It becomes more significant due to the new European guidelines. The COVID-19 pandemic may currently reduce greenhouse gas emissions in the short term. In Germany, the achievement of targets will be checked annually in the monitoring. After each monitoring, an expert hearing will make suggestions to new climate protection programs that will be introduced. In Germany, we have 3 instruments for this. First, subsidies through tax relief, financial subsidies, guarantees, and support for research and development. Second, regulatory law on tightening of legal requirements, for example, thermal insulation. And last, education and advice. For example, energy consultants shows which renovations are useful. All efforts in new building and renovation aimed to use energy efficient windows and facade systems. Good heating, insulation frame and glass constructions, the use of solar gains, sun protections and automation are important and correct investments in buildings for climate protection. The building envelope needs to get better in the future, and the principle efficiency first is politically supported. We are looking for solutions of questions of product life cycles and grey energy. It is important that new windows and facades are also manufactured sustainably. Therefore, we have very successful solutions for the plastics and the aluminium window sectors. The Rewindo system, for example, has been recycled plastic products from windows and roller shutter profiles very successfully for more than 18 years. All German systems providers are involved in this process. The targets are, first, constantly increase the proportion of plastic made from recycled old profiles. Second, while doing so, increasing the proportion of recycled material in new profiles. And last, create a positive image for the product plastic. The current success are shown in the following slide. The system covers almost all over Germany. There's a good logistical concept so that old profiles and protection waste can be picked up directly from the processor or from the construction site. Third, the recycling rates we currently show in the slide improve from year to year. With the current proportion of 18% recycled material in new profiles, there is still a significant potential for higher proportion. Furthermore, the system AUF is very successful in aluminium window constructions. The recycling rate of old aluminium profiles is at about 98%. Secondary aluminium will be completely melted down as new profiles available to German window and facade manufacturers. AUF recycling makes a significant contribution to climate protection. Both energy consumption and CO2 pollution are reduced by about 95%. In addition, there's no loss of quality within this process. The cycle of producing secondary aluminium from old profiles can be repeated as often as required. The primary target of the AUF system is to organize a closed loop. No downcycling. Second, perfect logistics for collecting and transporting old dismantled aluminium and bring it back into the secondary process. And last, reduce transports and keep the materials in our own country. The material cycle is shown here in the slide again. First, dismantling old windows. Second, collection. Third, sorting, separating, processing, and remelting. Fourth, pressing new profiles. And last, production and assembly of new windows made from secondary aluminium. Currently, scenarios shows that maybe in 30 years, there will be no more quartz sand available for new glass production. Furthermore, old building glass that has been removed is not being recycled. Mostly it is splitted in the substructure of building of new streets. A current study of the German Flat Glass Association, short BF, shows a possible volume of 521 million tons. 2/3 from the dismelting of old window constructions and 1/3 from producing of waste. Overall, the direct recycling rate of 19% in the new float production progress is still too low. Viewed differently, even less waste glass from dismelting goes back into the product cycle. The downcycling rate is very high at 77%. Considerably, efforts are still required to achieve a closed loop in the glass industry. It is currently technically and economically difficult to increase the recycling rate. Why? Because of the high technical requirements placed on glass. It has to be good colors, it has to be planarity, incorrect inclusions should not be there. Sustainability is getting more important socially and politically. Questions about grey energy, product life cycle, cradle to cradle and closed loop are becoming more important. Sustainability is a general obligation for the future. Therefore, the Allianz Resource was founded in Germany 2 years ago. The German construction market needs almost 60% of the resources. Therefore, questions about waste, resource conservation, CO2 balance during the product life cycle, construction costs, and regulatory laws must be considered as a whole. Furthermore, the Allianz links different fields: politically, business, society, science, and public sector. The Allianz wants to develop new ideas, promote the exchange of science, and last but not least, wants to give inputs into the political process. Specific approaches that are already being implemented are listed here as example. The main focus is first, incentive systems and funding programs for sustainable buildings. Second, research projects that show that the orderly demolition and separation of raw materials is possible. Third, that sustainability is also economically. And last but not least, we want to show lighthouse projects or pilot projects that must be implemented in public building first. Thank you for your attention. We only have one Earth, don't waste it.
Well, many thanks, Mr. Lange, for these details you just shared with us. This is truly interesting, and also not only the numbers, but also the link you made to social aspects and political aspects. Thank you very much. We move straight on to our next speaker, Mr. Johannes Kreisig. Mr. Johannes Kreisig is the CEO of the DGNB, the German Sustainable Building Council. And he will speak to us about international trends in green building. Please, Mr. Kreisig, we look forward to your presentation.
Hello, everybody in Glasstech 2020. My name is Johannes Kreisig. I am CEO of the German Sustainable Building Council, and it is a pleasure for me to take you on a journey into the world of green building. Temperature is changing, not only in Asia. Temperature is changing all over the world. You can see here a slide with the temperature change in the last 100 years. And this is similar in many, many different countries. But not only temperature is changing, also the world is changing. Changes you can see everywhere. We see growth of population and urbanization. We see a demographic change. We see regional shortage of clean water, climate change, as mentioned. We see scarcity of resources essential for economic prosperity. We see increasing pollution of air and water, and this is caused by industry and traffic. All these changes have an effect on our life and on our societies. And what we need is a concept to bring all these needs and threats together in one assessment scheme. The United Nations have developed such a concept. It's a concept of sustainable development goals. Buildings and cities and good health are basic needs for each society. In parallel, climate action is the most important global urgency. With the Sustainable Development Goals 11, Sustainable Cities and Communities, 3, Good Health and Well-being, and 13, Climate Action, these basic needs are represented. But buildings and cities influence almost all SDGs, directly or indirectly. And here you can see an overview on all these important topics. Today, we are developing the buildings of tomorrow. We have to be aware of that. Building today means building buildings which are there in 2050. And to foster the development of future buildings, we have developed the DGNB certification scheme. But who are we? We are the German Sustainable Building Council, DGNB, and this is a group of people and organizations with a vision to implement the planning, construction and operation of sustainable buildings and neighborhoods as the new normal for the entire built environment. It must be normal to build, to design and to operate sustainably. Otherwise, we won't succeed. DGNB is a sustainable construction network. It's the largest network in Europe with about 1,200 member organizations from all different sectors. You can find architects, engineers, developers, investors, manufacturers, and also local authorities and universities in the DGNB network. The little field of logos is just a snapshot on our member base. Many of them you can also find in Asia. But DGNB is also global. Of course, we are the German Sustainable Building Council, but we are a part of a strong network on a common journey. We have established G17, an organization, a think tank, to bring action into the market. And we are members in the World Green Building Council, active members in the board of directors as well. Our member base is from more than 30 countries, and we have partners in other countries like Denmark, Austria, Switzerland, or Spain. More than 7,000 DGNB projects in 25 countries are certified up to now. The collaboration with more than 70 universities is essential for the development of the DGNB scheme and the network. But what's behind the DGNB scheme? The DGNB scheme is somehow translating the Sustainable Development Goals into criteria to use for design, building, and operation. They are clustered in environmental, economic, social, cultural, and functional qualities, which are the 3 basic pillars of sustainability, and supported by the technical quality, process quality, and site quality. This link to the Sustainable Development Goals is directly implemented, And all these SDGs are represented. 14 out of 17 SDGs are linked into the criteria, and you can find, and this is very important, 2030 benchmarks already for today's developments. So what are key words within the system? You can find criteria addressing affordability of the building, so an economic criteria, and adaptability. So if the building is flexible and you can adapt it to different use over the lifetime, it is a more valuable building. Of course, the environmental aspects like water saving and climate protection are core of the system, beside circularity. But for the people, it's on the same level of importance that it's a healthy building and it's a comfortable building. But why do you need certification for that? The DGNB scheme is a life cycle planning and optimization instrument. Therefore, it creates a cost reduction. It has a strong focus on processes to avoid costly risk. So it's an instrument for risk mitigation. Quality management combined with independent third-party certification is providing transparency and credibility. And the certificate is used as a marketing instrument. So it helps for brand reputation. So these are all aspects which are important, why certification is an important instrument to support sustainable buildings. On top of that, we have created the Climate Positive Award for extraordinary buildings, buildings which are meeting already today future requirements on the climate side. So a climate positive building is a building which is mitigating climate change more than it is contributing to climate change. So typically these are energy positive buildings harvesting more energy than they need during operation in a 50-year lifespan. There are also international examples for the Climate Positive Award. The School of Design and Environment in Singapore is one of these examples. Of course, in Singapore, heating is not the issue, it's cooling and ventilation. In Germany, the Active Stadthaus in the Speicherstraße in Frankfurt was one of the first climate positive buildings. It's an apartment building. It's a high density, and there you can see PV panels on the roof and in the house facade. The City Hall in Freiburg is an office building with the same characteristics. There you can see also PV in the facade, and this is one of the future options I see in many buildings. An example for DGNB certification is the Deutsche Haus in Ho Chi Minh City in Vietnam. It's a development by the architects from GMP International and is certified by DGNB Gold Certificate. So this is a beautiful view during the night. That's the view during the day you can see. The facade is an essential part of the success of this building. This is a development in Thailand, the Danarak Assets Development, the new office of the developer in Thailand, and it's certified with the DGNB Platinum certificate. It's the highest rating you can get for a building. This is an inside view of the Danarak Asset Development building with the beautiful green wall for good indoor air comfort, and and on the left-hand side the atrium. So let me conclude. We have seen the world is changing. Demographic change, urbanization, global warming, scarcity of water and resources, air pollution, etc., result in high construction activities and subsequent consequences. Building we build today have to meet the requirements of tomorrow. Healthy and comfortable, affordable and flexible, water and energy saving, climate positive, circular and resilient. We have to use instruments to make it happen. Without instrument, it's more a trial and error. The DGNB scheme is a good instrument to support design, quality management, and monitoring. But beside instruments, you need people, you need network, and the DGNB network is such a network, and it is open for all ambitious stakeholders all over the world. You are invited to join the network of DGNB experts and to use the instruments to improve buildings and districts. I hope the little journey into the world of green building was interesting, and yeah, what's left is to say thank you for your attention.
Many thanks for your presentation, Mr. Glasstech, and all the details, in particular the nice pictures as well, and the information about your services and your institution. Particularly, I thought it was refreshing that you were using the two new words, new normal, in connection with architecture and building, which is quite a change for the moment. Thank you. We'll continue right away with our next speaker, Dr. Yusuke Mori. Dr. Yusuke Mori is Senior Director of HEC Asia Pacific Ltd, and he will speak to us about innovative technologies for sustainability. Please, Dr. Mori, we look very much forward to hearing from you.
Okay, can I start my presentation? Okay.
Yes, please.
Yes. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Yusuke Mori, and I'm from HEC Asia Pacific, located in Singapore, and I belong to the Strategic Planning and Business Development Division. So I'm working in Singapore since 2016 June. So my main job is technology networking, lobbying and marketing in Southeast Asia countries, especially introducing new technology called green building. So today I'd like to talk about the innovative technology for sustainability. So this is my presentation outline. So I will introduce our company, AGC Inc. and the Zero Energy Building, GEB, family concept. So, and after that, I will show our product, including the coated glass and the OTTV calculation. So this one is based on the Thailand BEC. And the third one is a building integrated photovoltaics, BIPV. So first of all, I would like to explain the AGC Group's business field. So we have 4 types of the products, including glass and electronics and chemical and ceramics, as you can see this slide. So first one in the glass business are composed of the flat glass and the automotive glass. So second one is electronic glass. So electronics business are composed of the display glass and the electric materials. Sorry. So third one is the chemicals. So chemical business and including the coal, alkali, and urethane materials, fluorochemical and specialty chemicals. So recently we expanded life science business all over the world. So number 4 is the ceramics business. So ceramics business including the refractory and special materials for road pavement. So today I will focus on the building glass materials for energy efficiency and energy generation. So this is our network in Southeast Asia, in India. So we started a business and about 60 years ago in this region, especially in Thailand. We started a business from 1963. So far, the business of the glass and chemicals and automotive and electronics glass existed. So in 2013, AGC Asia Pacific, AAP, was established as a regional headquarters of AGC Group in Singapore. The regional headquarters manage the market analysis and the sales of the group product, aiming to contribute to the regional society with advanced products and services related to the people lives, environment, in the imaging, communication, and energy. So in 2017, AAP became one of the founding partners of the World Green Building Council Asia Pacific Regional Network, with the environmental being an integral part of the company values. AAP has since collaborated with the Green Building Council in the network to help the realize positive benefit of the green building. So this slide is shows our network all over the world. In Japan and Asia, as I mentioned in the previous slide, and all business fields are covered, including flat glass and automotive glass and chemicals and electric materials and display glass and ceramics. So this is I'm GTNet member in Singapore. What does it mean, GTNet? So GTNet means a global technology network activity. So mainly focus on the technology scouting and collaboration with the research institute and networking for the new businesses and standardization. So this one, GTNet is located in the Silicon Valley in US and Belgium in EU and Shanghai in China and Singapore. So as I said, I'm a Singapore GTNet member. My covered area is Southeast Asia and India. So from next slide, and I would like to explain the AGC product for GEB, Zero Energy Building Solution, in detail. So this slide shows the definition of the Zero Energy Building, the future green building, promoted by METI. METI means the Ministry of Economy, Trade, and Industry in Japan. So zero energy building need to utilize and many energy efficiency materials and energy generating materials. But it is so difficult for them to achieve zero energy building directly due to the economic situation, something. So Japanese government proposed the zero energy building family concept, ZEB family concept, as you can see in this slide. At first, ZEB ready. So this means the energy saving is 50% and more, is able to be established by the reducing the air conditioning and ventilation and lighting and water supply and the elevator something. So after that, by retrofit the step by step, not directly, step by step is important, not directly. So we can reach the achievement of the net zero energy building. So for ZEB ready and nearly ZEB and ZEB, the product and solution of the energy efficiency and the energy generation are required, as you can see in this slide. For energy efficiency, the important point and the composed of the 3 points. First one is the load reduction. This one is the improvement of the thermal insulation and solar shielding. Second one is the use of the natural energy. So this is the expect for the renewable energy. So third one is the use of the improved equipment and systems. So and for energy generation, so introduction in the renewable energy is needed. So based on the global status report for building and construction, globally, and the building and construction sector account for the final energy use 36%, and energy and process-related carbon dioxide emission in the 39%. So, and green building are becoming the new normal worldwide, especially in today's commercial construction and high-rise residential build. So for better future, AGC Group can offer the following the 5 key value proposition. So in this presentation, I'd like to focus on the product which contribute to the energy efficiency and energy generation, as I said. So first one is a wide range of the energy saving innovation. So energy saving glass product include the magnetron coating and chemical vapor deposition for facade application with a low solar factor and excellent thermal insulation. This is the first one. So second one is the on-site energy generation solution. So energy generation product building integrated photovoltaics via PV glass for external use, and this energy generating solution allow building to harness the power of the solar energy through our architecture glass. So next one is this slide shows coated glass technologies. So our building glass are classified into the 4 categories based on the production method and property. As product by the pyrolytic coating, reflective glass is the stop zone, and solar control low glass is Sun G and Primal G. So regarding the pyrolytic coating, it is also called the hard coating and online coating. This is the left side. So on the other hand, right side is as a magnetron sputtering coating. Reflective glass is the T-sun lux, and the solar control low glass is the stop ray. So regarding the sputtering coating, it is also called the soft coating and offline coating. So I will explain these products one by one later. So this slide shows each SAGC. SAGC means the solar heat gain coefficient value, and compare with the VLT. VLT means the visible light transmittance. As you can see in this slide, we have a wide range SAGC, solar heat gain coefficient product, for the various requests from the customers. In the range of the SAGC 0.35 to 0.6 is the solar control low glass by pyrolytic online coating. In the same range, this big square here, big square is the solar control reflective here. Sorry, this here, solar control reflective glass is the pyrolytic online coating. So on the other hand is SAGC that in the range from the SAGC 0.2 to 0.35 is a solar control reflective glass, a small square here, and low DGU sputtering coating, soft coating here. So solar control reflective glass, the small square here, is a good SAGC, good SAGC and good solar shielding property, but this has a low VLT, visible light transmittance. So low DGU has a better performance and good SAGC and high VLT. This is a good selectivity. So based on your request of the solar performance and visibility and price, we can propose and the sustainable, suitable glass product for you. So first one is so this one is a reflective glasses. So stop zone left side is a reflective pyrolytic coated glass. Its performance is durability with a good solar control and unique reflective aesthetics. It can be easily used for the large variety of the processing option, including the tempering, laminating, bending, and silk screen printing, and offering and the architect unlimited creativity for its applications. So on the other hand, right side in the T-sun lux. T-sun lux is a reflective and temporal magnetron sputtering coated glass, has a strong and durable coating. So this has this high performance solar control coated glass specialized in the blocking heat, and this is a great fit for the architecture glass. So T-sun lux is available in the various color substrate, and this has a wide selection of the coating. So next slide is the solar control low glass. glasses. So, and the first one in the, I want to explain the left side. Saneji. Saneji is a pyrite coated glass. This is highly scratch resistant, and this can be bent and tempered and laminated. Together with its excellent solar control properties and low reflection and neutral appearance, so Saneji is definitely an ideal product in today's architectural world. On the other hand, right side is the stopray. Stopray is a high-performance magnetron sputtering coating glass, so gives excellent selectivity and with neutral appearance. It offers improved balance between the visible light transmittance and solar control and enhanced U values. So these products delivering the maximum energy saving that can meet and exceed the energy efficiency code requirement. So next one is the one by one I want to explain, and the first one is the stop zone. I already explained this stop zone, and this one is the project reference, and so the next one is the Saneji. This one is our project reference in Southeast Asia. So this one is the T-Sun Lux. This one is the offline reflective, as I explained. This one is only focus on the Thailand project reference. And fourth one is the stop play. This one also in the Thailand project reference. And I pick up is a 4 project reference in Thailand. So next one is we can show you the result of the OTTV calculation. OTTV means the overall thermal transfer value based on the BEC, Building Energy Efficiency Code in Thailand. So glazing types, the case study, glazing types are the clear float glass and T-Sun Lux CS520 coated on the blue glass, and the stop play vision 4040T. T means temperable. So this one is, as I explained, in the offline low DGU structure. So this calculated OTTV is an office case. In the clear glass is a 115. 2 coated glass is a 46 and 32. In the group 2 and the department store case, and clear glass in the OTTV is around 87. 2 coated glass and 37 and 25. So group 3 in the hotel, hospital, condominium. So, and this group 3 case, and the clear glass is 54 and coated glass in the 23 and 15. So maximum OTTV requirement is, as you may know, and group 1 is 50 watt per square meter, and group 2 in the some department store case in the 40 watt per square meter, and group 3 is 30 watt per square meter. So by using coated glass, and the OTTV drastically reduced, as you can see in this table. So next one is based on the each OTTV calculation, and annual operating electricity can be calculated, as you can see in this slide. And OTTV and building OTTV, and after that is the building cooling load, and you need to change in the refrigerator tone. After that is annual operating electricity, kilowatt per hour, kilowatt hour, and Thai bahts and USD. So based on the result of our OTTV roughly calculation, so compare with the clear glass. So T-Sun Lux and the stop play vision type is at first in the T-Sun Lux is so around 57 to 60% decrease compared with the clear glass, as you can see in this slide, group 1, group 2, group 3. And stop play vision type is more decrease, about around 71% and 72% energy saving. So next one is I like to introduce in the BIPV, building integrated photovoltaic glass. So this is a building materials. It is also a shading device that provide thermal comfort, allow for the natural daylighting and also sound insulation. And it is also source of the renewable energy, as you can see in this slide. So BIPV is a custom-made module with multiple design possibilities. So because the PV material is the sandwich structure between the two pieces of the glass. So this is suitable for use in the building facade, unlike the conventional solar panel, which is made from the glass and film. The module structure is typically and the temporal laminated glass, which makes it a safety glass. So gap between the cell and allow the natural daylighting pass through. So, and we can reduce the solar heat gain and provide the supplementary and electricity. So this is our first project reference in Malaysia, and our customer is located in Penang and has applied the BIPV on the spandrel area. So skylight application allows for natural daylighting as well as shading. So we can also apply our online solar control low E glass product on the bottom piece, surface floor of the module to improve the shading coefficient, as well as the double silver low E product on the inner surface number 5 and an insulated glass unit. So this also is our project reference, and this is a facade curtain wall application in the building in Yokohama in Japan. So this project was installed 2008 and till today. It is still generating the fair amount of the solar energy for the building. So the spandrel area and the top of vision light and the light of the facade are ideal for the BIPV. The cell can also provide shading and help to reduce energy loading in the building. So recently, so this slide shows the other type of the solar cell. We are also able to develop the module and different color cell. So currently transparent type of the module with sphere cell and sudare in the Japanese word. So a blind type of cell. So recently, we also developed the new type of the BIPV. So we launched a new type of BIPV, the BIPV active type. So this is an opaque energy generating glass solution and for the spandrel and the cladding. So the benefit is a non-negative impact of the design and flexibility on design and the smooth and uniform appearance. So finally, and today is I introduce two types of our product for energy efficiency, the load reduction, and the various types, the eco glass facade. The name is the stop zone and sun energy and stop ray and T-Sunlux. So for energy generation and the building integrated photovoltaics, BIPV. So the brand name is the Sun-E Watt. So by using these products, we would like to contribute to the green building and low carbon building and smart city. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Dr. Yusuke Mori. This was really interesting to hear. And of course, it's not always about trends and design. It's of course also about innovative technologies. And I think that came very well through with your presentation. I now have the pleasure to continue with a brief tech talk with Dr. Yusuke Mori, the gentleman who is just online, and hosted by my colleague, Mr. Gan Payab. Our host, Mr. Gan, is Executive Director for VGA System and a member of the Executive Committee of the Singapore Glass Association. Mr. Gan, please, the stage and screen is all yours.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. And thank you, Dr. Mori, for the very interesting topic on innovative technologies on sustainability. In particular, building integrated photovoltaics is a hot topic as many countries are trying to ramp up their renewable energy production, and BIPV offers a huge source of potential. I'm sure everyone has many questions. Please type in your questions through the chat function, and Dr. Mori will try to answer them one by one. You can find your chat function at the bottom panel. Okay, maybe while waiting for the questions to come in, maybe I can start the ball rolling by asking Dr. Mori a few questions. So Dr. Mori, what is the power output of your product, power output warranty of your product called Sun eWatt?
Yes. So we have a 10 years warranty at approximately 90% efficiency and 20 years warranty at 80% efficiency.
Thank you very much. Yeah, we expect as we expect these products to be used in a building, the lifespan should be very important, and I think this more than adequate addresses most of the warranties required to cover the buildings for today. Still no more question? Okay, I will ask you another question. Okay. So as you are aware, we are in Southeast Asia, and the climate here is a little bit different from in the tropical region. So what is the effectiveness of the vertical BIPV in our climate, in the tropical climate?
Yes, efficiency is the different in each location and each direction. So, and I want to explain this one, and by using my appendix slide, I would like to share my screen. Please wait. This one. So, so Bangkok in the Thailand case, I want to explain. And so Bangkok is located north 13 and 13 of the equator. So on the vertical facade, facing the south and east or west, the effectiveness, as you can see here, so the effectiveness is 50% compared to the horizontal orientation. So, but so this one is just Thailand Bangkok case. So we can calculate it by based on the some pathway and each location in Southeast Asia.
Oh, thank you. This is a very good graph, and it's a very good information for the architects or consultants who are trying to specify for their project. Okay, we have one question now. What is the additional glass cost versus energy savings? Is it worth the high initial investment?
Sorry?
Well, we have a question from Mr. Adrian Tan. So he's asking whether an additional glass cost versus energy saving cost, is it worth the high investment?
Yes, so yes, so 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 for additional energy efficiency is maybe so additional cost is required. So but is so the cost performance is a very important factor for the customers, I think. So in the we can offer and we can recommend is a wide variety of the glass materials. So in the each project one by one, and we can offer the recommended glass to the customers.
Yeah. So I hope that answers your question, Adrian. Any other questions coming through? I think maybe they are still typing. Maybe I'll ask one more question. So Dr. Mori, I think maybe there are some architects here with us, and I think they are our consultants. So I think they will be interested to know what is the typical U value and shading coefficient for your panels.
Yes. So this one is I would like to use additional appendix. Please wait. Here. So this one is the thermal performance of our product, including a BIPV and fundamental laminated glass and single glazing. So so BIPV glass and 3E watt is the U value is here, and depend on the structure, glass composition, and so BIPV normal glass is around U value is a bit high and around in the 5.7. But on the other hand, is laminated glass is a bit reduced in the 4.8, and single glazing is around 4.9 to 3.9 and 4.3. This one is, this one is depend on the composition and the thickness and the opening ratio something. So this one, and we can also offer the suitable glass based on the U value and the SC value and based on the customer's request.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you for sharing this data. These data are I think they are very precious data that Dr. Mori is sharing with us. We hope that you have taken the chance to look at this data. And so thank you, Dr. Mori, for the explanation. And I don't see any new questions.
I have one question.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Gyok Chua. You haven't talked about dynamic glazing. I know you have Helio. So what is the opportunities for dynamic glazing to contribute to zero energy buildings or positive energy buildings?
So, thank you very much for your question. So, and we, as you know, is that we already have of the active glass in the name is Helio. This technology is electrochromic glass. So, this one is can managed by the sound sensor, with the cloud system. So this one is based on the sound pathway and the outside temperature and the direct and solar irradiance. So we can manage the suitable VLT and SHGC. So this one is it can be highly contribute to the energy efficiency if the building management system can install into the building.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Mori. I still have one question coming up, maybe from looks like more from a developer or owner. So he's asking, what is the maintenance process for BIPV? Is there a special maintenance required?
No. Glass surface is recommended to be the clean the 1 or 2 times per year. So the balance of the system should be checked and maintained yearly by the system integrator.
Okay. Thank you very much, Dr. Mori. Now, this is your last chance to ask any more questions. If no more questions, we will end this session right now. No more? Okay. So thank you very much, Dr. Mori, for sharing with us all your information. And we'll hand it over back to Mr. Renato now. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Gan, for hosting this Tech Talk. And again, thank you, Dr. Yusuke Mori, for your insights. This was truly interesting, and thank you for being part of this. Towards the end of day one, we have 2 more important and interesting presentations on real estate markets in China and Germany with special guests powered by Bao China and the Real Tech Expo. Matthias Strauss already mentioned that briefly at his opening speech. Real Tech Expo stands for another high-class event of Bao China, and it is a summary of premium events, conferences, and dedicated exhibition zones focusing on innovation, sustainability, industrialization, and renovation. We have two presentations from Mrs. Professor Ni Maisheng, followed by Professor Florian Hackelberg. And we will start with Professor Ni Maisheng, founder and chairman of the China Real Estate Chamber of Commerce and honorary president of Tsinghua Alumni Real Estate Association. Her presentation is with the name New Scenario for Real Estate Development. Please, Professor Ni Maisheng, we look forward to your presentation.
今天我讲的是房地产发展的新场景。
Today I'm going to talk about a new scenario in real estate development. 2020 is the last year of China's current and 13th five-year plan, and a normal feature of this time of transition is a strategy being formed for the future. As President Xi said, we should take meeting domestic needs as the key component of China's development plans, and we should gradually form a new development strategy that takes the domestic circulation as the main focus and international and domestic double circulation as the mutual promotion. Vice Premier Liu He also pointed out that as a country, China is still feeling pressure from the economic downturn, but there are promising signs we may be moving in a more positive direction. So, what kind of opportunities does the dual circular economy hold for real estate in this situation? Let's first talk about the circular economy. Circulation is only possible with a focus on sustainable development, which emphasizes resource conservation and the living environment of society. Under this circular economy, we now need a new scenario in real estate. Three of these new scenarios are related to our new economy and the internal double circulation, which is also of international concern. The first is green development. Our country's Green Living 2021 initiative focuses on sustainable development, which is a top priority for the circular economy. The second scenario is the global focus on the digital economy. With the coming arrival of the new 5G era, an unstoppable global digitalization, each country is gaining the technology and the new markets it brings. The digital economy is now a fact of life, and therefore it must be integrated with green living and a green economy. The last scenario is, after 25 years of real estate development in China, it can be said that there is already sufficiently large stock of housing. The ways to acquire land have changed dramatically, from the original bidding, auction and listing days to many newer options now. The structure of real estate financing has also undergone changes. This has led to banks being less willing to lend, so it will no longer be so easy to get loans. This in turn will affect the asset liability ratio of real estate developers. It will not be too high, and liquidity ratios will be reduced. If we accept this as true and there are fewer real estate speculators buying houses, then the demand for new residential buildings will be reduced and fewer will be built. All of this means deciding how to update China's existing housing stock will be a big challenge. For that reason, from this year onwards, housing stock, i.e. the renovation of old residential quarters and urban renovation, is going to be very important. It has been 20 years since the beginning of green building in 2000. Looking at this chart, we can see from 2004 to 2018, the total area of certified eco houses and green building in China has increased rapidly. This trend is projected to continue until 2022. This shows that our green buildings are developing very quickly. However, there is one big change within the 20 years of development. Focus has changed from things to people. We originally valued material possessions, and now there is a shift towards valuing people. For the first 10 years, we were talking about energy saving, land saving, water saving, material saving, and environmental protection. Basically, it emphasized the relationship between buildings and building systems and resources and environment, focusing on the green performance of buildings themselves, but lacking consciousness of the people living in them. For the past 10 years, people-oriented and intelligent empowerment have been gradually taking hold. We are now asking the question of whether people's health can be integrated with 5G intelligence, digital economy and security. Now, let's talk about digitalization and how it can empower green buildings, because these are two very important themes. Digitalization is our new infrastructure. The concept of green in green building is the ultimate human pursuit. Originally, though, we talked about the safety of people in buildings. For example, in green buildings, it might refer to buildings withstanding natural disasters or man-made fires. Since the global pandemic, COVID-19, however, a more important focus has emerged: life safety. how can we ensure the safety of our lives? The safety of life and the health and longevity of the people is a joint issue, and in this topic, digital architecture plays a powerful part. Let's review the huge role played by digital technology in controlling an epidemic. Firstly, our control over our communities includes a combination of tangible and intangible properties. An example of a tangible control is that all our neighborhoods are surrounded by walls and controlled by a neighborhood association. And if you don't have a card or security code, you can't get into the residential quarter at all. The second way digitization aids in control is that we have a variety of QR codes which play a huge role in health, GPS tracking, collating big data, and monitoring. So it can be agreed that we have a very deep understanding of big data, GPS, and QR codes. This makes tracking trends much easier. Technology plays a huge part in our lives. If you don't know how to operate a smartphone, for example, you can't go home, visit the doctor, get on a plane, get out of the airport, or leave the railway station. This is part of the reason our lives have not been affected too much during the closure for COVID-19. This can be attributed to 4 things. Firstly, online shopping plays a huge role in our lives. Secondly, teleconferencing on the internet allows us to continue face-to-face meetings and conducting business even though offices may be closed. Thirdly, the success of our battle against the epidemic could not have been achieved without China's internet and our universal use of WeChat and online payment. Finally, the medical industry itself has been upgraded, and the national allocation of medical resources, commercial support, and logistics control have all been enhanced. We can see that digital technology has played a huge role in epidemic control and community management, which is seen by the whole world. We have shown that at this time, China can control the epidemic very well, but even so, we face tough challenges and competition. Other countries are also developing the internet, and everyone has started to recognize the scale of the problem. Beginning in 2020, the global digital economy will upgrade from consumer internet to industrial internet. Now is the time to turn the corner. China has advantages on the consumer internet. The consumer internet is basically to the customer, and due to China's huge population advantage, the consumer internet is extremely successful. This is why in China we have the first round of Internet Plus. This was the final round in building Internet Plus. One thing to note is that the first round of Internet Plus didn't include real estate. For example, online real estate sales were not very successful. This is because the real estate industry is too heavy. It is a heavy fixed asset, not a consumer asset, not a light asset. The epidemic now offers unprecedented opportunities for our digital community. However, we should ask ourselves why the property management subsidiaries of many real estate developers are now quite high in market value after listing. This is because it connects to the downstream of the real estate developers. The digital community combines the consumer internet with the industrial internet. The digital community connects both internets, including the construction industry, real estate and commercial property management, linking together in an industrial chain. Therefore, understanding this provides an unprecedented opportunity for the development of real estate. We weren't in the first round, but we can definitely play a role in the second round, connecting the consumer internet and industrial internet to extend to both ends. We are still at the stage of exploration and integration and have not yet formed a complete system combining the two. Why is this? It is because we are facing severe challenges and competition. The arrival of 5G, Internet of Things, data center, intelligence, AI and cloud computing can meet the basic conditions for the development of the industrial internet as the main contents of information infrastructure, but we are still relatively unfamiliar with them. We have a great deal to learn. We are exploring these things, however, and progress will be made. We are embracing a new era. China is slow in its renovation of old residential quarters and urban renovation in general. I have visited many European countries, and they all have preserved their houses from hundreds of years ago very well and regard them as part of their historical heritage. However, due to the rapid development of real estate in China, the original houses were torn down and many new buildings were built. Now our new housing stock is very large in number and may even cause some financial risks, such as real estate bubbles. So what should we do? Starting from July this year, a guide on the renovation of old residential quarters has been issued. It is divided into 3 categories: basic renovation, improving, and updating. The basic renovation is mainly renovation of infrastructure, including garbage disposal, property management, and communication in some old residential quarters. After that, The improvement section states it is necessary to refine and improve energy saving in older properties, implement environmental improvement, and begin the installation of elevators. The third and final category covers updating, including elderly care, convenience stores, restaurants, and so on. In fact, real estate enterprises pay most attention to the updating section because updating can combine the renovation of the original old residential areas and construction of new houses at the same time. The old residential quarters have an advantage, which is that the location is relatively good, generally in the heart of the city. Therefore, under such circumstances, real estate development companies are more willing to take part in these renovation plans. From the view of real estate companies, the renovation of old residential quarters is a new business opportunity and a new scenario, mainly for improving and updating. The old housing stock in China is quite large, and it is important to learn how to form relationships with both the government and the original residents. By 2020, all buildings will have to be renovated. From the view of urban renovation, a financial solution is needed. Where will the money come from? Developers are in favour of these renovations, but don't know where to raise funds to allow them to proceed. Unfortunately, China's real estate finance is incomplete because we used to rely too much on indirect loans, that is, on banks and debts. In China, two well-known debts could solve the problem. One is a development loan. The developer gets a developmental construction loan from the bank. The other is a personal housing mortgage. But from a global perspective, real estate must be integrated into the financial market of the whole country, like other industries. For this reason, from this year onwards, it may be necessary to gradually improve financial solutions in the real estate sector. Therefore, it is important to control the asset-liability ratio of real estate this year. Investment used to rely mainly on government loans, but now it generally relies on private equity real estate, i.e. PERE. When doing this, we should consider the income from incubating property management services. Under such circumstances, incubation is required during the development and construction period. In the latter period, professional investment and management organizations will become involved. After taking part in, many people rent real estate because housing does not speculation. When the rental rate reaches 80 to 85% or more, institutions can harvest their previous investment. Finally, after reaching the maturity period, infrastructure real estate investment trusts, i.e. REITs, can be used to list on the capital market. So there are three stages from PERE. You can buy stocks of some mature, rewarding rentable properties, and this kind of stock can be resistant to a lot of financial risks. Meanwhile, real estate profits and operating cash income can also be shared with shareholders. This process is very important. REITs are currently mainly focused on infrastructure because the rate of return is relatively stable, and they are all large state-owned enterprises and central enterprises. Later, as the property is renovated, a deeper renovation will be conducted. Next, let's talk about how green finance supports the development of green buildings and how we can reduce financing costs. The financing costs of domestic real estate developers are usually 8%, 10%, or sometimes even more. However, if the price of land and the cost of financing comes down, the cost of housing will come down too. This is why, starting from this year, our country's green bond began to gear itself towards the real estate industry. There are still some issues in China. All countries worldwide issued $250 billion of green bonds in 2019. How much of this did real estate and green building get? 30%. This is a large percentage. China has issued 386.2 billion RMB of green bonds, which is a considerable number, but our green buildings only get 6%. We're a long way behind than the rest of the world in this regard. Our investment is much lower. There are probably two reasons. The first is that the value of green technology is not recognized by financial institutions here in China. The main reason for this is we do not have a unified evaluation standard, i.e. a credit standard with banks and financial institutions. For example, banks have a credit standard for the finance of our real estate enterprises, which is 1A, 2A, and 3A. There is no such standard for green building, so the guarantee agencies are not willing to provide a guarantee. This means banks cannot provide financing, and so real estate enterprises cannot get access to finance at this time. Real estate regulation is a one-size-fits-all approach. For private enterprises and small and medium-sized enterprises, it is more difficult. There are not too many mega companies that build green buildings in China. Companies are not very willing to build green buildings when real estate is relatively easy to sell. The companies that are willing to build green buildings are usually the ones that have future aspirations and are commonly known as tech real estate enterprises, or the more tech-savvy companies. In the field of real estate, there has been a competition between quantity-orientated companies and quality-orientated companies. In the last 20 years or so, quantity-orientated companies have tended to flourish while quality-orientated ones have struggled. This has led to us now facing two very difficult and strange problems. Some small and medium-sized enterprises exist who attach great importance to the sustainable development of green buildings, but they cannot raise sufficient funds and they cannot borrow money. For financial institutions, the economic situation is now easier. Liquidity ratios are high. Central banks and the world are lending, but they cannot find suitable projects. They cannot find assets. So now one is short of money, the other is short of assets, which should be a perfect scenario, but in reality, they don't match up. This means you still have a lot of real work to do. The Chinese government is very supportive of this and has been supporting the rights on infrastructure. For example, if a green building is developed and supported by the government, then it will get the loan at an interest rate of 3 to 4% lower than a typical commercial loan. It also is given a loan period of 3 to 15 years, so that's a medium to long-term loan, which is better for real estate than a short-term loan. Meanwhile, medium and long-term loans will be able to extend the chain that I mentioned earlier. It now is clear we can't get away from technology and green building. It is very much a technology issue and a digital issue, both of which are high-tech issues. None of these advancements can be achieved, however, without financial empowerment and support. So, in conclusion, technology and financial growth is the new reality for real estate development. Let's go through the cycle and start again. Thank you all.
Thank you very much, Professor Nimai Sheng, for these great explanations. Wow, very interesting, and also quite interesting where this will be heading in the future. And I'm sure we'll be hearing from China in this aspect soon, and also the connections you made between China and Europe, very interesting. Well, now continuing to our next presentation from Professor Dr. Florian Heckelberg, Professor for Real Estate Economics and Management at HAWK, University of Applied Science and Arts in Germany. His presentation will be about investing in German real estate, market trends, and investment framework. Please, Mr. Professor Heckelberg, we look forward to hearing your presentation.
It's a pleasure to welcome you to our today's session about investing in German real estate. My name is Florian Heckelberg, and I'm a professor for real estate economics and management at the HAWK, University of Applied Sciences and Arts in Holzminden. Before my time as a professor, I was a consultant at a large consulting and audit company based in Berlin, as well as several years in Beijing and Shanghai. And during that time, I was helping my Asian clients with their real estate investments in Asia, but also on their way to Europe and their investments in Germany. Hence, today I'm pleased to share some of this experience about market trends and the German investment framework with you. Within the next or so 10 minutes, we will have a look at the broader framework of the German market, and later on we'll look a little bit deeper in some of the sub-sectors. In recent years, the German real estate markets have established themselves as a safe haven for international capital flows, while the German market was comparatively stable for several years and several decades. Actually, over the last 10 years, the market was very dynamic and gained extreme momentum. As Europe's largest economy, with a stable political system and highly educated workers, as well as a very well-developed infrastructure, Germany is one of the preferred destinations of international investors within Europe. Like many countries, also the German real estate market cannot be seen as one single market, but rather different sub-markets. However, the major difference to other European countries, for instance, France or United Kingdom, is that in France, basically everything is more or less about Paris and the Paris real estate market. In the UK, about 40% of the international commercial real estate investments are done within the greater London area, and that's actually where the German market is different. We have Berlin as the capital of Germany, but apart from that, we have several additional cities which are interesting real estate submarkets as well. We have Hamburg, the trade city in the north. We have Düsseldorf and Cologne as shown on the map in the west. We have the international financial and banking hub Frankfurt in the center of Germany, and Stuttgart and Munich as industrial cities in the south. Together, those cities are called the Big Seven cities, which are all metropolitan areas in Germany, and each of them presenting interesting investment opportunities for international investors as well. Germany is also a very transparent market. The real estate market is quite transparent from an international perspective as well. On the right-hand side, you see the Global Transparency Index ranking from Jones Lang LaSalle, and you see that JLL ranks Germany at number 10 out of some 200 countries, before Singapore, Hong Kong, and Japan on places 14 to 16, as well as China with the major markets Shanghai and Beijing on place 32. This transparency is also reflected in a low risk profile of the German market. On the left-hand side, you see the development of the last 12 months of the weighted average cost of capital of companies in Germany. You see on the lower side, the darker dots representing the WACC, weighted average cost of capital, for a bunch of German companies, while the higher line or the lighter dots show the international WACC, or the WACC for a group of international companies. The WACC is normally applied for a business enterprise valuation and reflects somehow the risk that international investors would see in a market as well as in a company. On the next slide, I would like to give you a short introduction of the development of the German real estate market. And on the left-hand side, you see the PwC Real Estate Index in Germany from 2014 to August 2020. And when you see starting in 2014, the development for both residential as well as commercial property companies was quite similar. You see residential is the upper line, while commercial is represented by the lower line. But both of these index developed pretty stable from 2014 until around mid or summer 2018. What happened in 2018, there were some new rental regulation started to be implemented by the German government, which had an effect on the residential market and on the development of the residential companies, housing companies in Germany, which led to a sidewards movement until the end of 2019. And by then we saw that commercial almost outperformed residential for the first time by the end of 2019. What happened in early 2020 with the start of the COVID-19 pandemic, both index dropped sharply. And while we were discussing at the beginning of these years whether we will see in Germany a more V shape in the economic development or a more so-called L shape, actually the German real estate market presented both. You can see that for the residential companies, they recovered very fast in a, as you can see, V shape, or more or less V shape, back to an all-time high by the end of 2018 with 416 points. While on the lower end of this chart, you can see that commercial stays more or less in a crisis mood and has more like an L shape. That means we see that discussions are around office, where people are more working in home offices, and investors might be a little bit cautious what that might mean for future development of office. Retail, on the other side, was already hit prior to the COVID-19 crisis due to changing consumer behavior, due to online and e-commerce. Hotel was hit hard by COVID-19 during the last 6 months. On the other side, logistics stayed similar to residential, more resilient to the crisis, and so far has a strong demand by investors as well. On the next slide, I would like to give you a short introduction to the German residential property market. Foremost, you can see Germany is not an owner society, with about half of the population renting rather than buying. That has several reasons why actually, as you can see on the left-hand side, only around 51% of the Germans live in their own apartments, while in other European countries, this figure is much larger. We see the average is 69%, and some countries like Spain with 77% or Romania with 96% of people living in their own apartments, this figure is much higher. The reason for that is just has multiple reasons. One is the historical strong supply with rental houses by the government, but foremost it's the comparatively tenant-friendly regulations in Germany, which actually for a lot of tenants means they do not have to live in their own apartment, but they are also happy to rent properties. While the residential property market in Germany was stable for decades, actually, that has changed in the last 10 years, basically starting after the financial crisis in 2007, 2008. And we saw a very dynamic real estate and residential market in Germany with sharp increase of prices and rents, especially in those metropolitan areas that I highlighted earlier, especially Berlin, Hamburg, Frankfurt, Munich, see very dynamic residential property markets. That is on one side due to an urbanization process that we can see in other countries as well. We see people are moving from countrysides towards those metropolitan areas due to the better infrastructure, job opportunities. But the major reason why prices were so actively developing over the last years is the historically low interest rates, which make it more attractive for people to buy their apartment rather than just rent it. As outlined, the German real estate market is not only open and welcoming international investors, but it's also providing a lot of different opportunities. The stable political and economic environment with plenty of attractive investment opportunities make it one of the most attractive destination for international as well as Asian investors within Europe. Since this was a very short introduction to the German real estate market, I also put in the presentation for you some further reading. On the right-hand side, PwC Real Estate Monitor, where I took some of these charts from, is updated every month for you and gives you some further reading, as well as an investor guide, which you can also download for free under the show notes. If you have any further questions, I'm very happy to discuss with you. Just drop me an email. You got my contact in the presentation. And for now, I thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Professor Florian Hackelberg, for your explanations and your insights about the German real estate market. And of course, again, thank you also for Professor Nimai Sheng for her presentations. Well, what a great way to finish the first day of Glasstech Asia online conference. But don't worry, the conference continues tomorrow, November 18th, and we very much look forward to welcome you back in the same West numbers as today. That was great. Tomorrow, the conference will focus on great topics such as architectural design, data, forecasting, market trends, and software. Again, all these topics will be presented by excellent international speakers. We will start again at 4 p.m. Bangkok time, 10 a.m. in continental Europe, or 9 a.m. in the UK. And you might want to have a look already on how to participate at Glasstech 2021, which will be held again in Bangkok during the exact same dates from November 16th to November 18th, 2021. Hopefully, and as Michael said before, we can all see each other then personally. This whole thing, of course, organized again by the unique BAO network containing the BAO Munich, BAO China, and Digital BAO. And I have now the pleasure, before we conclude, to pass on the words to my colleague Kun Por in Bangkok. Please, Kun Por.
Thank you very much, Mr. Cherry. and ก็จบกันไปแล้วนะคะสำหรับการจัดงานสัมมนาออนไลน์ในวันแรกของเรากับงาน Glasstech Asia Online Conference 2020 เรายังมีต่อกันนะคะทุกท่านพรุ่งนี้เวลาเดิมเราจะมาพูดคุยกับผู้บรรยายทั้งจากไทยและต่างชาติค่ะชื่อดังหลายท่านเลยในหัวข้อ Architecture Design บรรยายโดยเจ้าของโปรเจกต์The Glass Fortress ผู้ชนะรางวัล Disease Award 2019 รวมไปถึงผู้บรรยายต่างชาติที่เป็นเจ้าของโปรเจกต์สำคัญต่างๆนะคะในประเทศไทยอาทิเช่นตัวไอคอนสยามนะคะรูฟท็อปของตึกมหานครและโปรเจกต์ที่สำคัญอื่นๆในเอเชียอีกหลายแห่งค่ะและยังมีประเด็นที่หลายคนห้ามพลาดเลยค่ะกับตัว Data Forecasting และ Market Trends จากผู้ข้ามวอร์ดในวงการกระจกและอลูมิเนียมจากทั้งไทยและต่างประเทศเช่นเดียวกันค่ะสำหรับวันนี้นะคะทีมงานต้องขอบพระคุณทุกท่านมากนะคะที่เข้าร่วมกับเราแล้วก็ต้องขอตัวลาไปก่อนค่ะแล้วก็พบกันใหม่ในวันพรุ่งนี้18พฤศจิกายนตั้งแต่ 4 โมงเย็นเป็นต้นไปผ่านระบบ Zoom นะคะสำหรับวันนี้ลาไปก่อนค่ะสวัสดีค่ะ
Thanks again for participating and see you tomorrow, same time, same channel. Bye bye.
Bye bye.